What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction, coming at you from the office for once and not a little closet. I guess there's a little more echo in here because I need like some stuff on the walls or something. I don't know, but it's and I need better lighting. I need like a full lighting rig and like maybe one of those background things so I can one of those like professional YouTubers or whatever. But I got a question this weekend from a viewer, who asked the difference between writing novels and comics. I take the basic approach the same. I come up with characters, I make sheets for each of the main characters and the major side characters. So they all are kind of fleshed out and they have backgrounds, you know who they are, etc. And then I go to the outline stage and I outline things. Now, the difference between a comic and a novel is a comic, I'm very much planning a certain amount of pages. So I try to write the beats for a comic in my outline so that they are anywhere from 1 to 3 pages. So you'll have the Cosmic Warrior, for example. He starts out flying in an air show. And my outline beat will be the first page is just a splash page where you're kind of showing things. And the second page is second and third page. We're going to break it down as the flying, and then something mysterious happens and he disappears midair. So I'll do it like that. And in novels, I break down based on chapter. And I don't plan out the amount of chapter, unlike a comic where I'm definitely going 22 pages for the story into an arc of 3 stories, which will be the graphic novel for 3 issues. And I tend to do about 3 issues, or sometimes I plan 4 issues. But I plan out the amount of comic in advance very specifically like that. In the novel, I really let it flow. I'd say more naturally. I hate to say that because the comic stories come naturally, but I let the novel kind of dictate its own length because there's no, I don't have to pay for art for X amount of pages, so I'm not going to constrain it at a certain amount. And so I break each scene down as it goes along, outline-wise, by what character has the perspective and what they're doing in that. So for I'm writing a Stars Entwined sequel right now. It'll start out, the first one will have a political scenario with the main character Tamar. Then the second one will have a sort of intelligence briefing with the other main character Sean, and then it'll go from there. So it's very similar, except with comics, I'm actually thinking about the page breakdowns and those beats, like I said, of like 1 to 3 pages. And so I try to change things up every 1 to 3 pages. And I try to give something at the end of every page so that you want to turn to the next page, right? And that's part of the comic writing process also. The novel writing process has something very similar on that front too, which is I try to leave a hook at the end of each chapter. So you want to read along at the end of each chapter. Now, when it comes to actually constructing things itself, the comic goes a lot faster. So a novel I actually have to describe everything that's going on. So if we're describing a person talking on a YouTube video with brown hair and a light peppery beard and bad lighting with a strange halo effect over the top of his head, I'm going to describe that. And usually beyond main character descriptions, unless there's something important going on, like the guy needs to have a gun because on page 3 he's going to shoot somebody, right? But for a comic, I just say main character X sitting in front of the computer screen talking on YouTube. And I'd let the artist kind of go from there with what he wants to do. Unless there's like an expression that needs to be dealt with, say like he's in surprise, right? Or I might mention that, but I wouldn't, describe the scene like I do to the reader with the lighting and all that stuff, because I'll just let the artist do that. Now, other comic writers sometimes do go a little more detailed than that. If you look at like Alan Moore's scripts, I mean, he might have like a page and a half on just like the look of me on the screen right here. But I think that's excessive. And I think it just puts a burden on your artist that's kind of pointless. So I'd rather let the artists express themselves as much as they possibly can, unless there's like a beat that's very important, some sort of object in the background that matters to the scene. Or, sometimes I just want to, put a reference in there for fun. So like in Robotoad, for example, I'm like, put a Baby Metal poster in the background because I wanted to put Baby Metal into the comic book, right? So things like that, is how it works in comics. Now, on dialogue, you rely on dialogue a lot in novels, believe it or not. Obviously, dialogue is a big part of comics too. But dialogue in novels is so important that, you know, you really drive a lot of the plot by the dialogue and the characters talking to each other. So you have lots of long paragraphs of dialogue and lots of back and forth, etc. Comics, you're constrained by the page again. So I try to keep less than 30 words of dialogue in a word balloon if I can. And I try to not have more than, you know, 2 or 3 dialogue balloons per panel. So naturally, I'm trying to push a more concise way of talking. If I'm having like a long conversation, you know, in a novel, that the characters might go back and forth, have a little small talk, just to, again, that makes it feel like a more real conversation, you know, because of the pacing and all that. You might feel like you're actually in the room listening to that conversation. On a comic, you're only going to have like 5-6 panels, so you're just going to try to get the basic information you need out there. You might sprinkle in something to convey a little character, but you're going to be much more concise in the way that you do things dialogue wise. Now, comic wise, you know, the action kind of shows itself, and there's, you know, a lot of times it's like, you know, main character punches villain. You know, it's like that's all give to the artist to do his thing, because I'd rather, again, have the artist express himself and have fun with it if possible. Whereas you have to carefully choreograph out the action scenes in the novel, again, so that the reader knows exactly what you're intending right there as well. And that's different. And I try to actually make the fight scenes go a little faster in novel form, because you're not having a lot of talking during fight scenes. It comes unnatural. And what's interesting is where, like, the superhero fight scenes, there's a lot of banter with the punching, and they always insult each other and things like that in superhero comics, but you're only doing that for like 2-3 pages. And so it goes by pretty quick. Novels, if you have too much talking in the middle of fighting, you're gonna slow down the pace of your fight scenes, because it's all text that people are reading. So I try to actually limit the dialogue during fight scenes in novels a little bit more than I do in comics also. And I think that's about it. I mean, it's really just a pacing thing where comics, I'm very constrained by 22 pages. Again, it's a pacing thing where I'm constrained by the amount of dialogue that I want to put in. It's a pacing thing, you know, what I want to do with the beats is paced a little different. And comic writing goes a lot faster just because there's a lot less thought I have to put into the description and the prose, because I just tell an artist, again, dude talking in front of a camera, right? Versus I have to describe all of this around me to set the scene so that the reader knows what I'm talking about. Because if I just said dude talking in front of a camera in a novel, it doesn't provide a very immersive experience. And the artist provides that immersive experience in comics. So I think that sums things up pretty well, and I hope that helps you guys out in your writing endeavors. This has been another ComicsWriter Pro Secrets. Hit that like and subscribe button, everybody, and make sure to check out the comics. This is what we're trying to do here. We're building something. I put out good books every month. Highly, highly recommend The Cosmic Warrior if you have not checked that out already. I really think it is the best comic of the year, and I'm shocked more people aren't talking about it, because it's everything our sort of group has asked for in terms of comic content. And I really want to get that 3rd issue done and out to you. And I'm just kind of waiting for a little bit better profitability on this stuff. So check it out. Go read it. I'll put the link in the description below, and I will see you guys soon.